Gadgets. Gadgets can be cool. I've got a project to sublimate some tumblers today, and to demonstrate this, I'm not even sure how you pronounce that. SZLTZK, something like that. Pincher. What it's supposed to do is make it easier when you're putting your graphic onto the tumbler. Normally I do it by hand. I have for a long time, but a viewer pointed these out to me, and I looked at them. They weren't very expensive. They're 15 bucks for a pair of them. I thought, well, anything's worth a try for once. So I've got some graphics printed. I need to do a little bit of trimming here, and we'll see how well this works on holding that paper together while I tape up the tumbler. The theory behind these things is once you wrap your sublimation paper and your graphic around the tumbler, you need to hold that very, very tight while you tape it. And that can be a little bit tricky if you don't have good dexterity. I'm pretty good at it. I've done a lot of them. But what this is supposed to do, like I say, I haven't tried it yet, is you put it, after you get your paper wrapped around there, you put this on there and you squeeze it, and it's supposed to hold everything in place while you put your tape on. So let me get my graphics up here. I'll get them trimmed and we'll get them fitted. We'll see how well this works. Okay, if you've never done this before, when you trim your graphic, I have done a video on how to do these step by step, but I'm going to point this out again. When you trim your graphic, you need to trim one's end and take just a little sliver of color off with it. That way when you do your wrap, you won't end up with a white space, because that looks really odd if you have one. You can also do this with scissors. But don't be tempted to use like one of the Cricut paper trimmers, because as you slide that, it may disrupt your graphic. Okay, I have my graphics trimmed, and of course you want to make sure that what you're doing is right side up, because I have made that mistake before. So what you want to do is lay your tumbler down, bring your paper up and around. You want to make sure that the color over here overlaps where you did that trim, so you don't end up with that white space. You want to get it square. Now what I've always done in the past is this, and it's probably still a good idea to get that around there just as tight as possible. So now the theory with these clamps here is I would put this on like so. Give it a squeeze, and we'll put one on the other end. And give it a squeeze. It almost sets upright for you. So then what I like to do before I do my vertical taping is I'll put a few pieces across. With these little clamps on there, I won't have to use quite as many. And from there I can tape vertical. Yes, you could use one long piece. Don't skip this step. Make sure you tape that vertically all the way, or you'll end up with a non-satisfactory end result. There we go. So that has got that all on there good. It appears to be good and tight. I do wrap the ends of my tumblers down here. It's a little bit time consuming. Some people don't do it. If you've never seen this, it's a matter of bending that edge in with a piece of tape. And then you bend the edge in another piece of tape. And you're going to have to go all the way around to get a good bond, and there'll be a little bit of wrinkles and overlaps, but dries are done. And one of my 3D printers just finished printing a project, so you'll need to go around like this. You're gonna have to keep the tape very close together, etc., and I'll show you the end result here. I don't do that on the other end. It generally isn't necessary. The press is good enough to pull this over that little bit of a taper there, but because there's a pronounced taper on the bottom, folding this over gives you a little bit better result. So when you're done, the bottom will look like this, the side will look like this, And of course, I don't do anything with the top. I'll get my next one prepped and try my little clamps here again. The graphic out here, make sure everything is right side up. Incidentally, once you clean the outside of these, try not to touch them. Fingerprints can interfere with how your graphic appears. Again, as you overlap this, make sure that the color here overlaps where you did your trimming. And I need to move that down inside there just a little bit. So again, I still do the thing with my hand. Double check, make sure I'm overlapping. I am. Put this clamp on again here. They do a good job of holding it in place. Yeah, everything seemed to stay tight. So I'll get this one taped up. So I found that once you get your 3 initial pieces of tape on there, that keeps it plenty tight. You can actually take these off so they're not in your way when you're going vertical on there or doing the bottom. So I did a little bit of experimenting there off camera on another one and found out that it works just fine after you get your initial pieces on. It does help to hold it in place as you get your first pieces on, and it does make it very, very tight, which is exactly what you want. Okay, so I got these ready for my tumbler press. I'll take them over and give them a press. And I know one of the questions I'm going to get, because I get it a lot, is what is this and where did I get it? It's a heat tape dispenser, or it could be used for Scotch tape, that's brand name, but cellophane tape, transparent tape, whatever you want to call it, masking tape. You can put, with heat tape, you can put up to 3 rolls on this, and as you turn this, it cuts it into pieces about yay long. It's great for wrapping presents too. My wife likes to use this around Christmas. But I've got this on Amazon. Some people love them, some people hate them. I bought it, not sponsored or anything, just thought I'd bring it up. I'll put a link in the description on where to get it. And of course, I'll put a link in the description on where I bought these there on Amazon as well. So let me go get these pressed. So here they are, hot off the press. And I do mean too hot to handle. If you've never done these before, do not hot peel these. Let them cool off till at least you can just grab them with your bare hands comfortably. If you hot peel these, there's a very, very good chance you could get some ghosting. And by ghosting, I mean you get a double image or you get a little bit of a smear, because that is still really hot. And whatever residual ink would be in the paper could transfer to a spot you don't want it. Speaking of which, that is also why it is very, very important to get that graphic on there as tight as possible, because you don't want it shifting around, especially if you're using a tumbler press like I am, where you press it for 70 seconds, then I release it, turn it 180 degrees, press it for another 70 seconds, then I take it out, set it off, let it cool. Even if you're doing the what I call the heat shrink method, where you have the heat shrink plastic that goes over it and you the heat gun and shrink it and then put it in the oven, again, don't hot peel that, let it cool off and make sure that graphic is tight. If you are using the shrink method and you don't have that graphic on there completely tight, as that shrinks, it could cause a wrinkle in the paper and will ruin your project. So I'll let these cool off here, and then I'll do the peel and reveal. Okay, so while those are cooling, what do I think of these? Well, I've prepped a bunch of other ones I have sitting over yonder there that I need to press yet, but I think it's a handy little tool, and it's kind of nice. It's got these little edges, so once your tumbler is prepped, it'll set there and you can put the tape on. Or as I found, it's once I get my 3 initial pieces across, hold the paper tight, and these are a good little accessory for keeping that tight, because it pulls it really tight. Then I can take them off and do my vertical taping and do my end taping. So again, they cost me with tax $15.14 on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description for these. Not sponsored, I bought these. Just can't figure out how to pronounce that. SZLTZK. They're made in China, but that's almost like a Russian name. I don't know. Polish, Russian, something European. But yeah, nice little tool. Comes in a little plastic storage case you can keep them in. Got to figure out how to get them back in there now that I got them out. Okay, this is almost like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. They go back in like that. I should have paid more attention when I took them out. But nice little storage container. Okay, so these have cooled off. I can do my reveal, as they say. And once in a while I'll get lucky and the paper will just pull in one piece, and I'm not going to get lucky here. If you should happen to get some residue that sticks onto your project, don't panic. Comes right off with water. You won't even need to scrub it. There we go. Now once you get a good run at it, you can pull that bottom. This is what I mean by wrapping around the bottom here. When I do that wrap, I get my color that will travel all the way around here, so when it is sitting like this, you don't see any white around here. Most people don't turn these up and look up at the bottom. I suppose you could. And speaking of the bottom, since I got that upside down there, I'll put my little bases on. Depending on the brand of tumbler you get, some of them don't have these. It's just a matter of centering that on there and giving it a push down. Okay, so what brand tumblers are these? These are from InnoSub. Same where the paper is from. Use a lot of their products. So there's one of them. Be wild and free. Get the reveal on the other one here. There's my other one there. Sweet summertime. Again, with that wrap around the bottom, you don't see any white around down here. Now these are not what they call seamless. This design isn't anyway, so you can see a visible seam here, but it's not objectionable by any means. It's the same with this one here. This is not a seamless one, but the design of it is so good. There is a seam here, but you've got to look real close to see that. So where do these designs come from? Designbundles.net is where these two designs came from. I do design some of my own, but for this project and for what I needed to do, these graphics were purchased. You can sell these. You just can't sell the design. So you buy the design, you can make as many of these you want and sell as many as you want. You just can't resell the design. So that's how that works. So then all I need to do with this one here is put my bottom on it. These do come with lids, of course, so they're sitting over on the counter over there, and stainless steel straw and a brush to clean the straw with. And you should not dishwasher these. Don't be putting them in your dishwasher. They should be hand washed. So there we are. That's how these little slick thingies work, and I think they work pretty good. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. I'm Roger in the loft above the shop. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.